What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, you guys. This is season 4, episode 5. The episode is titled Coins to Make, Not Friends to Fake, you guys. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel, and you guys are not subscribed to the channel, then I'm going to need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know you can do me that favor by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville, shall we? All right, you guys, so this episode, we picked up literally where we left off in last week's episode. You guys remember in last week's episode that Kiki was having a conversation with Tisha, right? And then you remember Tisha left out. Tisha went and called Kimmy up, right? So she had Kimmy on the line. She's telling Kimmy about this situation that's going on with her and Kiki, right? So you guys remember Kiki came outside and asked Tisha, like, who are you talking to now about me, right? And that's where we ended. So this episode, Letitia repeated herself more than once, right? Granted, Letitia said she's not going to keep repeating herself, but you said that 3 different times, right? And it's, the funny thing is with the situation with Letitia and with Kiki, Letitia was the one that was apologetic, right? She's like, you know, me and you, we had our conversation about what was said to Mel, and I apologized to you. And we went out to dinner. We cried. This was 4 years ago, right? So she's apologizing to Kiki, and I'm like, so Kiki, you not gonna sit here and be like, you know what? That's my bad, yo. You know, I knew you and Mel like weren't in a great space, and then I sat here and I went to her party and I had a conversation with Mel and everyone else about you, right? But see, here's my issue when it comes to Kiki, because last season Kiki at Tisha's graduation, she came at Kimmy, and it's just like, so you can come at Kimmy last season, but Mel can do whatever she wants to your cousin, right? She can do whatever, right? But you ain't got nothing to say to Mel. But you had all the smoke for Kimmy. I just want to make that make sense to me, right? And I want to say that, like I said last week's episode, I can see why Tisha said what she said to Martell and Melody, but it also wasn't her place to say what she said to Martell and Melody, right? So I can get, Kiki having some residual feelings. But if you guys sat down on the phone for hours, went out to dinner, and she apologized, why are you still holding on to it? Like, I'm not saying let it go, but baby, if you decided to forgive her for it, put it in the past and let it be what it's gonna be. Don't continue to harp on the shit. Don't continue to hold on to hold on to it. Let it go. Like Elsa said, let it go. So then Tisha said something else. I'm like, wait a minute, that sounds vaguely familiar. Because Tisha said that if it wasn't for the fact that they were family, they wouldn't even be, they probably wouldn't have anything to do with each other. I'm like, now that sounds familiar to me. Oh yeah, that's right. Kimmy said that at last season's reunion, but Tisha felt some type of way about it. Okay. But that was the end of that scene, right? So then we move over. So we see Martell. So Martell has gone down to, talk to Marceau. So Martell has this business opportunity that he wants to do with Marceau. I even tweeted this. I wouldn't let Martell roll a sack of pennies for me. Like, I just don't. Martell is just not trustworthy. Martell is just sneaky. Like, I just wouldn't do business with Martell, right? I just really wouldn't do business with Martell, right? So they talked about the book signing, right? And Martell was talking about how embarrassed he was that Melody didn't bring the kids to the book signing. And I still keep the same stance, right? My stance is going to stay the same. Could Mel have taken the kids to the book signing? Absolutely. Did she have to? Was she obligated to do so? Absolutely not, right? It would have been a nice thing for her to do it, but she didn't have to do it because that was her week with the kids. So Martell should have planned accordingly for the week he had the kids. And I don't feel no types of way about that, right? If you guys can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below, but I just don't feel no type of way about it, right? So then he's talking about the fact that at this point, he and Mel, they don't have any communication with each other, right? And I've heard him say this before, where he says he doesn't have, the number that he has she doesn't always answer. So he says he emails her, right? So then he's telling Marceau about, the wine tasting, right? He's telling Marceau like, hey, I want to go down to Atlanta as a guy's trip. I'm like, that's a little bit too soon. I mean, you guys are still dealing with the ramifications of the guy's trip to Atlanta in 2015 that Marceau just posted the picture. I think it might be just a little bit too soon for a guy's trip, but Marceau says he's down for it, right? So then Martell hits him with the business opportunity, right? So the business opportunity, you guys know, Martell and Marceau came up with the business scope, right? Scott plus Holt merged together, right? So he wants to buy back into Scope. Like I said a few minutes ago, Martell is just not trustworthy. Martell is sneaky. I just really wouldn't want to do any kind of business dealings with Martell. Period. Point blank. Right. So Marceau says to Martell like, hey, it's not really just it's not really 100% just my decision in bringing you back on, let you buy back in. Tisha's a partner in this as well. So what I got to do is I got to sit down with Letitia, have a conversation with her, see where she stands, and then we can figure out the logistics, right? But then he also tells him like, what we can do in the interim is I have this project where I'm working with Destiny, right? So Destiny has Ladani, and what she wants to do is she wants to put some sweets in there, right? So that way she can make more money, right? So what you can do is you can come on there, you can help me with that. If things go in the right direction, then we can potentially look at coming back together under the same umbrella of Scope and possibly working together. But once again, he still has to go and have a conversation with Letitia to see where she stands in this whole process, right? So what I'm gonna do here, you guys, is I'm gonna pause here and we're gonna move forward. All right, you guys. So next up we see Kimmy. So Kimmy and Maurice, they're having a conversation. Maurice is doing some stuff in their theater room, right? So she sits down with Maurice and she's telling Maurice about the conversation that she overheard between not Kimmy, but Tisha and Kiki, right? And how Kiki said that, Tisha was being hypocritical, right? Because here you are, you're sitting with me, you're talking to me about me having a conversation with Melody, but then here you are having a conversation with Kimmy about me, right? And I can still, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I don't see Kiki's point. I got her point very well, right? But like I just said a few minutes ago, earlier in the review, when it came to Kiki, Kiki didn't own up to anything in this situation with her and her cousin, right? Like I said in last week's review, I'd be damned if I'm finna sit down, and it's gonna come up a little bit later in the episode. Like, I'm not finna sit down with anybody that my friends or my family don't have a good relationship with, right? And I'm not finna sit there and I'm not finna spread your business to them, right? Because that's not that person's business. Because then that person could use that as ammunition to be like, oh, well, her cousin said this, her best friend said this, da 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 da. They can go back and use it against you. So I got there. So Maurice was like, at some point the niece and her daughter are gonna have to sit down with Wanda and her curls, right? And she was like, yeah. He was like, and I feel like you might get drugged in the middle of it. And I mean, in a perfect world, she shouldn't get drugged into it, right? Because Kimmy ain't had nothing to do with this, right? So, well, you know what? Kimmy can get drugged into this, right? Kimmy can get drugged into this a multitude of ways. Kimmy can get drugged into this because of the fact that Kimmy was on the phone when Letitia was, had after she came out that meeting with Kiki, right? And then Kimmy could also get drugged into this because of the fact that she is the one that went back to Letitia and told Letitia what was going on, right? And I'm just thinking about this from the perspective of Wanda and the Curls, right? Wanda and the Curls could say, could find any kind of way to basically put this on Kimmy, which Kimmy has nothing to do with this, right? This is not something that Kimmy did. And actually, you should have a little bit of respect for Kimmy because of the fact that she came and told Tisha that Mel then was having a conversation about her, right? But hey, once again, I'm talking about Wanda and her curls. So then we see Destiny. So Destiny went down to Maurice's for some financial advice, right? And this whole situation with Destiny is really quite interesting because I just don't understand Destiny's relationship with LeBuick is interesting in itself, right? So they got married, they had a baby. 3 weeks after she had the baby, he files for divorce, right? Now, we did see on season 2 when they had the conversation about her taking his last name and she didn't want to do that, right? But that is not a big enough reason to file for divorce from your wife. So to me, there are some holes in this story that I just don't know what it is. There are definitely some holes in this story, and I'm trying to poke and find out what these holes are because there's some things that just doesn't add up, right? So then she's talking about she has to refinance her home because now she's going to be paying all the bills, right? So you didn't get spousal support in a divorce. You didn't get any kind of alimony. I know you guys weren't married that long, but you didn't get child support. Like, you didn't get any kind of support from him. Who was your lawyer? Like, your lawyer didn't get you anything from the chicken man. So then she's talking about the fact that, she had to use her savings account. She had to use her credit cards. And she was on public assistance. So Marie said, so you got a PPP loan? She says, no, not public assistance, right? Not PPP, public assistance. And I'm guessing what she said when she said public assistance, I'm thinking like welfare, food stamps, WIC, stuff like that, right? I'm thinking that kind of, and I could be wrong, but when she says public assistance, I'm thinking speaking of stamps, you got some? Like, if you got some food stamps, like, dead serious. It's like, so that's what I'm wondering when it comes to her talking about public assistance. I'm pretty sure that's what she means, like welfare. I doubt she was on housing or HUD because I think it's, from how it sounds like she owns the home, right? So welfare, WIC, and food stamps, right? Maybe even TANF. Maybe even TANF, which I don't even know what TANF stands for. What the hell does TANF stand for? I don't know what TANF stands for. And I always hear about TANF, but I don't know what it stands for. But hey, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing, right? But I still just have the question of, so you didn't get, again, like I say, you didn't get any alimony, spousal support, child support? And I've been seeing on social media where people keep questioning if Law is LeBuick's son. Why are y'all doing that? That man says that is his child. Let's leave it at that. So then, he's telling her what she can do, right? Because she says at one point she opened her store, she closed her store, she opened, she closed, she opened, she closed. She hired people to run the store, but she didn't have enough money to pay those people, right? And then I was thinking to myself, well, you're talking about the fact that you didn't have enough to pay. That's also a business issue as well, right? That means that you're not making enough money. You're not bringing in enough money to the store to be able to pay the people that you are employing. So you got to work on your business model as well. So then he tells her, speaking of her business model, he tells her, this place where you have LaDonnie at, why don't you try to, maximize on that, right? And we said maximize on it, like make some suites, like, have booth rent, like have people come in there, have people who maybe do hair or makeup or whatever, right? If people cut hair, do wigs, whatever they do, have them come in, have them pay a booth rent. That's extra income for you. And she says that's what she's doing, right? She's doing that with Marceau, right? So then they discuss Melody and her relationship, right? He says that they're into, she says, well, no, Melody is into it with me, right? But she doesn't understand, right? So she tells him, that she ghosts her. And then they went out to brunch. And when they went out to brunch, they discussed the fact that, she had talked to Letitia, who she calls her enemy, right? And I'm still kind of confused as to why Mel is calling Letitia her enemy. Because all last season, you guys were you weren't in the best place, but you guys were in a semi-good place because you guys were hanging out with each other. You guys were laughing with each other. You guys were kikiing with each other. it did. It feels like to me, watching the show, that the issue with Melody and Tisha didn't come until the reunion when Letitia brought up the fact that Melody tried to destroy her marriage, right? Which, Melody says she didn't try to destroy her marriage, right? You tried to bring like it. Season one, Mel, when it came to her and Martell, it was a misery loves company kind of situation. You guys might disagree with me, and that is fine, right? But when she told Letitia to pull up to the bar and check on Marceau, that was her. That was her way of saying, you know what, shit. Me and Martell got our issues. Let me drag somebody else into the situation with us, right? And again, you guys can disagree with me. That's fine, but that's just how I took it. So then, Destiny is talking about how, throughout this entire process that she's been going through, she hasn't been able to reach out to her friend Melody, but she has talked to Letitia, and Letitia has been there for her. She's been a good friend to her. And I was like, wow, I would never peg Letitia to be a good friend, right? Because Tisha just gives you the vibe that she is the type of friend that is needy, that she exerts so much energy from you, and I just could not be friends with that type of personality. But you guys, we're going to pause here, and I'm through with the episode, so we're going to wrap up the episode. All right, guys, so next up we see Letitia. So Letitia is sitting down with Marceau, right? So she's telling Marceau that she would like for Wanda and her curls to shadow him, right? Because, as you know, Wanda and her curls wants to do the food truck. So she basically wants Wanda to learn the ins and outs so that way she knows what to do when it comes to her food truck. He reluctantly agreed to it, basically, right? So then he tells her about Martell wanting to buy back into Skull, right? And he says, he seems like he's getting back to the old Martell, right? And Tisha, she's like, okay, I hear you saying he's getting back to the old Martell, right? But I still don't trust Martell, right? Because of what Martell has done in the past. You guys remember, I just mentioned it a few minutes ago, the fact that it was Martell and Melody who were talking about the 20 women, right? And then Melody went and told Martell, not Martell, but Tisha, to pull up at the bar, right? That's one of the reasons. And remember, earlier in the review, I said I couldn't work with Martell because Martell is sneaky and he's untrustworthy, right? I just wouldn't trust Martell with anything. And business, because your personal life is in disarray. I don't want your personal life. I don't want anything coming in between the business, right? I just couldn't. It wouldn't be for me. I would have to say it's a hard ass no for me. But and Letitia did give props to him. She said, you know what, he is a good businessman, right? And when you guys were working together, he brought out some good in you and you brought out some good in him, right? But she's just still apprehensive about working with him because his reputation with the past and how he's done them, right? And Marceau, he sees it, right? So then he tells her about, them going into some kind of semi business where he will be helping him with the sweets with Destiny, right? And it's just a test. Again, I still wouldn't do business with Martell. It's just something that I couldn't see myself doing it. But hey, if they want to give it a shot, go for it. Me personally, no. No, I couldn't. I wouldn't even want to do this project that Marceau was, suggesting to him, right? We see that Martell, he wants to do this wine stuff, right? I would be like, you know what? Let me shadow you. Let me follow you with this whole wine operation, right? And let me see how this pans out, right? If that pans out successfully for you, then possibly you and I can sit down and have a conversation about Skull. But at this point, I would tell Martell, I know you've apologized for the things that you've said in the past, right? But I can't take that risk, right? I can't take the risk that what if we have a disagreement in the business, right? What if we have a disagreement and you take that disagreement and you go to this person and that person and you start saying defamatory things against me, right? I couldn't take my chances with Martell. I really couldn't. I could not take a chance with Martell. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't let Martell roll a sack of pennies for me. So then we move over and we see Melody and Destiny meet up, right? So in this scene, I was annoyed with both Melody and with Destiny, right? But more specifically, I have to say I was more so annoyed with Melody, right? So they met up with each other, right? And Mel's like, well, you know why we're meeting up? And Destiny says, I actually don't know why we're meeting up, right? So this is about their relationship, right? So Destiny is telling Melody that she's heard through some of their mutual friends that Melody has been saying that some things have been off in their friendship and their relationship, right? And Mel says, well, you know, I don't do that unless they bring it up. And when they bring it up, it is very vague. Here's my thing with that. Like I do have an issue with that. I really, 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 really do have an issue with this. And I tweeted this last night. So Mel is saying that when people come to her talking about her relationship with she and Destiny, because I guess Destiny is posting stuff and I guess Mel is posting stuff. Mel is saying she doesn't really read stories like that. I don't know. I don't care. But here's my thing. And you guys can let me know if you agree or disagree with me, right? And it's fine if you agree and it's fine if you disagree with me. But my thing is with Melody. So Melody is talking about the fact that when people mention Destiny to her, she's very vague about what the situation is in their friendship. My stance is when it comes to me and a friend, right? If me and my friend, and you guys know I have my best friend, I have my two best friends, my three best friends, I have four. My best friend from when I was a child, I've known him since we were 3 years old. My best friend from high school, we've been friends since the 10th grade, so we're going on 17 years. And then my two other best friends that I've been friends with now for we've been friends since 2016 at this point, right? And I'm gonna go with my older two friendships, especially my best friend of 17 years, right? Because she and I, we've had our disagreements and we've had our falling outs, right? But in our friendship, we've never gone to other people and we never talked badly about the other to anyone else, right? And even with one of my old friends that I was friends with in high school, she and I fell out for a long time, and I never talked negatively about her when we weren't friends, because I was like, if she and I can fix this relationship, how would it be if I'm talking shit about somebody that I consider my best friend? We have a little riff right now. I'm gonna talk shit about her, but then if we make up, I gotta be like, oh, I said this about you and I said that about you. I've never done that and I'm never going to do that, right? Because that's actually why me and one of my friends that friend fell out, because she thought that I had went behind her back and said something about her, and I told her verbatim, I'm like, I never said it. You know how I operate. That's not how I am. So my thing is, when it comes to friendships, right? If you and your friend have an issue with each other, don't go to other people talking about your friendship. And that's actually what happened with me and my friend. People kept saying, what's going on between you and, her name is Jasmine. So people are like, what's going on between you and Jazz? What's going on between you and Jazz? What's going on between you and Jazz? I'd be like, and I would say it. I don't know what's going on between she and I. She heard that I said something about her that wasn't true, and she's not talking to me right now. But that's the gist of it. And like, and people, what I would say, I was told you shouldn't be friends with her. She faked, she this, she's that, she's that. I'm like, no, she's not. I'm like, because there are things that she knows about me that I bet you guys don't know, because she hasn't told you guys. And there are things about her that I know that I'm not spreading, right? And I said it because we could get back to being friends. And then one day I just sat down with her. I'm like, you know what? Me and you, we need to talk. This is stupid. We've been friends for a long time now. It doesn't make any sense. We sat down, we squashed it, and we moved forward, right? And with Mel, I feel like Mel has gone around and said certain things to certain people, right? Because Destiny feels that she said things that have affected her business, right? And like I said, I'm not gonna sit, I'm not, like I said, I know I said that, people asked me what was going on. I told them, what happened. I told them what happened, but I didn't go deep into I never went deep into the situation about what happened with us, right? Because that was between she and I, nobody else. They were like, y'all haven't been around each other. Yeah, we are not talking right now. We had a falling out, and I always said that we'll get back to where we need to be. But for right now, we're taking a break, right? but I never bashed her. I never badmouthed her. And I feel like Mel may have said some things about Destiny. I do believe that, although Mel says she didn't, right? So then, um, Mel then talks about the reunion and how Destiny said at the reunion that she and Melody hadn't talked since, filming Wrapped, right? Now, I don't know when filming of season 3 Wrapped last year, but Melody pulled up the text messages, and unfortunately, Destiny girl, them text messages said otherwise. She said, one text that I'm just chillaxing, and she said I would never say chillaxing. You did. So tomatoes, right? And now here's my thing with this. It was the way that Mel was talking to Destiny. Now, granted, Destiny was rolling her eyes, making faces, but don't be rude, Destiny. I would have been like, wait a minute, who are you talking to? You know what? I'm not one of your kids. I can get up and leave from this table if that's what you want me to do, right? Because you're not going to talk to me like that, right? And I would have said that to her in no uncertain term. I would have said that to her just like that. I'm not one of your kids. Don't talk to me like that. Like, talk to me in a respectful manner. So they went back and forth. Then I believed Destiny when she said that, Mel said that Tisha was her enemy. But um, I think Mel said that she didn't say that. But girl, you said it in this episode that she was your what did she say about her? Whatever she said, it was the equivalent to her enemy, right? And now here's my thing. It feels as if with Mel that if I'm not cool with Tisha, you shouldn't be cool with Tisha because you're my friend and I brought you to the group, right? I can be cool with whoever I want to be cool with, right? The only thing is, I don't have to talk to that. Like, if I have and I have some, and I do have some friends who don't like each other, right? I have quite a few friends that they are not cool with each other, and I'll be like, you know what, you my friend, and we're all friends, right? Well, technically we're not all friends, but I'm friends with you, and I'm friends with you. I won't talk about you when I'm with you, and I won't talk about you when I'm with you, right? I don't do that. I'm too old for that shit. I don't do that. So Melody and Destiny, they got into it. Melody has an issue with her being cool with Tisha, and she also has an issue with her talking to Martell. But I was like, the reason why you know Destiny is because of Martell. So they've been friends since high school. So you expect for her to drop her friend since high school? Now I know that there's some rumors floating around out there that there might have been more between them two. Until I get factual proof, I don't believe it, and I don't care, to be quite honest with you, right? So eventually Mel got up and walked out, and that was the end of the episode. So let me know what you guys thought about it. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, share the video, and until the next time, you guys stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, you guys, be blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.